Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Start off the video strong. We have a bunch of videos to put under the stream this week. A lot of World of Final Fantasy Let's Play parts again. I've got some more trophy guides coming out for that. Palace of the Dead video, which I believe is uploading as I'm recording this as we speak. So we got a lot of stuff to work on. We also had a really exciting week. We had front page on Tuesday, which was good as always for Palace of the Dead. I soloed up to floor 111, but then I died to something really stupid that I could have completely avoided, and it's honestly a little embarrassing. I'm going to be soloing up again to see if I can get to like 130, 140. I know up to like 150 can be soloed by the tanks. Even maybe 150 can be soloed by the tanks. I don't know how that's going to go for me as a monk, but we'll see what we can work out. Maybe we get some lucky commanders, make our way up there. Another thing is Extra Life on Saturday. Unfortunately, I only made the stream for 10 hours. I was super exhausted that day. I don't know what it was. I really tried to sleep a lot the day before, but I guess it just still all caught up with me after hours and hours and hours of trying to raise money. We ended up raising approximately $5,800. It was $5,100 on the dot, and with the 135 subs, or 133 or 134, something like that, I took 134 subs, resubs, Twitch Prime subs, multiplied by 2.5. Give us about whatever 335 divided by 2.5 is. I don't feel like doing it in my head right now. That's how many subs we got. And then I doubled that and added it on and dropped $700 onto charity myself. So we raised $5,800. I'm happy that we raised $5,800. I'm not satisfied that we didn't at least hit the same goal we did last year. So I'm contemplating what to do, but I think I'm doing something else charity related at the end of the month. So if I do something else Extra Life related, I'm pretty much going to deplete any chance of raising money on that other charity thing. I still got to figure out what I'm doing for that, but I'll let you guys know, because if we didn't hit the 10,000 goal, maybe I can hit 10,000 total for the year across multiple charities, because my goal for the year is hit 10,000 with Extra Life. But if I do two different charities and I raise a total of 10,000, I'd say that that would count for me for my yearly goal. I've also got to start working on another yearly goal, because next I got to set goals for 2017, so hopefully you guys are ready for that. On top of that, it's not finalized yet, but we do have another shirt coming. I'm not going to say too much yet until the design's ready to be revealed, but it is a Christmas-related shirt, or a holiday-related shirt at the very least. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to it. Without further ado, though, let's get right into the questions. I'm actually not live streaming this. I decided to take a break today because I went to this huge 6-course beer and dinner thing the night before, and we didn't get back till late. And after the 10 hours of streaming plus that, I kind of just wanted to take a day, get caught up on as many videos as I can, and just kind of kick back, enjoy a day of not talking for 7 hours straight. Something I haven't done for myself in a while. So it's been a good day. I finished uploading pretty much all the World of Final Fantasy Let's Play playthroughs, and then those are going to upload over the course of the next couple weeks. And then I've still got to work on a few other things. I got a Palace of the Dead video out. I've got something rendering on that computer. Actually, it's uploading on that computer now. I'm working on this now. We got some other stuff. So I'm overworking myself a little bit, but that's because I've got a lot of videos and a lot of ideas that I want to get into video form, and I've really got to work on the 810 Savage Guide as well. So let's get to these questions. We just have some questions on the forums, and then we'll be done with Mondays with Mr. Happy for this week. No live questions. Alright, so the first question I actually had to end up skipping because it was one of those, what do you think? I think it was the person's first time posting a question on the forums, but just as a reminder for like ideas and what do you think of this idea questions, we try to avoid those as much as possible, just because I'm not in any way a validation of your idea. You know, I could be one other person who agrees with your opinion or your ideas, but unfortunately it's just something that's very hard to answer. It's just like, what do you think of this? And then I just go, sounds good. Like, it's just not a very exciting answer, you know. But we're going to go right to the second question for that reason. So, Hatman, you basically say that the least you need to move, the DPS you make, right? Well, you know the drill. What? I'm not... Oh, the least you need to move the deep... I'm not... this is obviously referencing last week's question from this person. I have no idea. I don't remember it at all. But we got question roulette. So we have poetic accessibility, questioning roulettes, and ye old relic. You know, let's take ye old relic. Okay. So this question is, after reading yet another buff change to the old relic quest, I'm asking myself if we had the option to pay 100 poetics to skip a step of the old relic. I mean, with that, you start the old relic quest, finish it normally, obtaining up to the eye level 80, and pay... no, I don't see a point in doing this. Like, first of all, only 100 poetics is a really cheap way to skip. Second of all, it's like that relic is there specifically for glamour. I don't think paying 100 pos to upgrade it is really all that necessary. Because at that point, you're basically just... Because keep in mind, at this point, then you're also just paying 1,000 poetics to skip the I-170 step, because that's what you're doing. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if maybe for the replica, but you're basically just giving somebody the option of paying 1,000 poetics, or doing the I-1s, or skipping, or collecting the crystals, the 18 crystals for the 170. Maybe somebody doesn't want the Zeta for that reason, but I think that's a little bit overboard in terms of nerfing the old one. The old one's not that bad to go through as it is, so I don't really see a need to nerf it even more. All right, next question. Hey, Mr. Happenin', what's happy? That's not right. Long time, no question, so no bonus, unfortunately. Well, it's only a first-time bonus, so that makes sense. So in consolation, take this Angelo minion. Dude, that would be cool as hell to have the little Angelo from Final Fantasy VIII as a minion. I'd be down. Feel free to skim through the text. The question is bold at the end. Hey, I like that. I like that you know that. So let's see. My question is thus: with all the people you've raided with in the past and how long you've spent doing World Prog, which I haven't done in quite some time, just as a reminder, how many have had problems with keeping their focus over repeated attempts, and what practices did they utilize? So the only people I've ever raided with that had trouble focusing during their repeated attempts, I don't know any names. Like, most people were pretty good at it. I mean, people sometimes just make mistakes, so you can't just say, well, because this person made a mistake, that person made a mistake. I'd say there's been a handful of people between patch 2.0 till now that I've run into that have had some issues. But one of the big things is not so much that they couldn't keep their focus. I've had quite a few raid members that are just those people that like to smoke pot when they're raiding, and then they mess up the mechanic, and the excuse is always the same. It's like, sorry, dude, I'm so high right now, I couldn't even tell. And it's like, that's not an excuse. I guess that is your focus wavering, but that's your focus wavering because you decided, it's like, oh, I'm about to raid, let me smoke a bowl. It's like, that's so disrespectful to the other 7 people. That's actually one of the big reasons why I moved off Sargatanas, because I had that issue on Sargatanas so many times, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Luckily, since moving to Gilgamesh, I haven't had that issues with the raid groups that I've had, but that's really the big thing. Just don't do that. And they didn't do anything to remedy it. They didn't stop smoking pot. They just kept doing it until I left the group, basically. So, I don't know anyone who's really had that trouble. I don't know what they've done to overcome. Anyone who I have raided with who may have had focus issues, I don't know what they've done to overcome it. I know what I've done to overcome it is I just stopped doing things like playing music on the other monitor, or watching YouTube videos between pulls. I just stay 100% invested in the fight the whole time, and it's killer on my brain, and it's super stressful, but it keeps my focus, so that's what works for me. All right, next question is a real short one. Halo Pack Happy. What? Halo Pack? Hello, Happy? I don't know. I'm just repeating it multiple times. If they move the next FanFest out of Las Vegas, where do you want it to be held? So it's not so much where I want it to be held and where it's reasonable to hold. Las Vegas is a pretty reasonable place to hold it, I feel, and it's been a great location the last 2 years. Unless they're going to do something bigger, they really don't need a different location. And honestly, because I live in California, I would want it to be in California, but also the Square Enix North American headquarters is in California, so the people who run the event likely don't have to travel as much. And so, yeah, I guess California, Los Angeles, or no, probably not San Diego. I'd like San Diego, obviously. TwitchCon was super convenient, but I sincerely doubt that they would ever do San Diego. Probably Los Angeles somewhere just outside Los Angeles would probably be the only other place I could really imagine it. Texas would maybe be my preferred because it's very central. It's a little bit cheaper. But I just have my doubts about them ever holding a fan festival in Texas. All right, next one. Hello, Mr. Happy, and happy Friday. So, by the way, I totally forgot to apologize. I forgot to include this question thread under the video that came out last time. So I ended up not putting this on the video, I think, till Friday or Saturday. I'm surprised we still actually got quite a few questions on here. So they are saying happy Friday. This thread might have actually been posted on that Friday. First question, pretty simple. I know Derplander is called Derplander, but why is he called Derplander? Is it just his derpy face? You know, I don't actually know the origins of why we call him Derplander. I always assumed that it was because he represents the main character. He represents you, basically. He's your in-game representation. He's not the Warrior of Darkness. They're not immediately related. The Warrior of Darkness is clearly designed after this character in the trailer, but they are not the same person. So with that in mind, he's the representation of us, what we've done, what our struggles are, what our adventures will be. And therefore, because there are players that are, there's some players that are very skilled and there's some players that are less skilled, I guess the joke eventually became on maybe like Reddit or the official forums that like, if he's a Dragoon, then he probably gets hit by AoEs, I don't know, I always felt like people use it as kind of a derogatory means of referring to the players who don't raid. Even though clearly Derplander raids. Look at I guess that's not true. He's only ever wearing AF gear. So I don't know, he's pretty jacked in the new one. Maybe that's the new Monk raid gear. Second question, how do you feel about Unsynced? I have mixed feelings. Dislike that it makes 2.0 stuff a joke. It gets players easy clears and gets people doing them, but I want them to be experienced challenge of Bahamut. I know roulette is always synced, but I like doing old content synced. I know they added the minimum item level requirement, but no one ever wants to do it. Do you feel it's a good choice overall? Do you feel like, yeah, I mean, you can't keep content completely locked away from being unsynced forever. Eventually, people want to go back and do the content that's just not popular enough to get done without it anymore. People will hop all over the content if it's unsynced, and yeah, is it a challenge? Sometimes it's a challenge to remember that sometimes you got to keep things a little slow. I remember one time I was trying to do unsynced runs for Wondrous Tales, and I forgot to unsync it for Leviathan, and we just said, why don't we just do it? Like, we all just said, let's just do Leviathan like synced, because honestly, Leviathan unsynced is more times a disaster than not when people don't pay attention to the DPS. So we ended up doing it. We beat it one try. It was a little messy towards the end, but it was still a one-shot, one and done kind of deal. No, but I mean, I think they could better incentivize minimum item level, but even then, people don't want super high incentive. If people want the challenge, they go find 7 other people who are like-minded. Odds are, even if there wasn't an unsynced option, if there was only a minimum item level option, odds of you finding 7 other people that care enough to do it synced or care enough to do it minimum item level is low. There's very low percentage of people out there who go, hey, yeah, I want to do everything minimum item level. But when you do find that set of people, it's quite fun to do. I remember Layla and Miyu and them, they all, like, I think all of the group 1 from the World First group, they came back together and they did minimum item level Bahamut. Binding Coil of Bahamut, and it was fantastic to watch them do that, to see be reminded of the teamwork that was required in that when you can't unsync it, and it was almost like re-experiencing a raid tier. So I'd encourage people to try out minimum item level, but make sure you're finding 7 other people who can complete the content minimum item level, which basically means a normal raid group and not just random people who may or may not have actually beaten the fight before. Or if you have people who want to try the fight for the first time, you can get 7 people who want to try it for the first time, and then go minimum item level and see how that goes. All right, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. This is Final and Sim, and welcome to my question on your channel. I like that this is becoming a normal thing. It's kind of like the guy who does the question roulettes. This is becoming a normal thing. Regarding Palace of the Dead, what team would you recommend as best for clearing? The usual 1 tank, 1 healer. So when you say clearing, you have to be very specific if you mean to floor 100 or to floor 200. I can solo to floor 100. Heck, like I said, I soloed to floor 111, and I could honestly probably solo up to 130, 140-ish. I don't know, 140 I think I could beat. I don't know about 150. But yeah, if you're going to go to 200, 1 tank, 2 DPS, 1 healer, pretty much treat it like a normal party, because as you get towards like 180 plus, the monsters literally start auto-attacking for like 6,000 damage. And if you're a DPS, odds are you have maybe 15,000 health. So if they're one of those mobs that do like auto-attack, cleave, auto-attack, you're dead. Like, you're going to fall over dead every time. Unless you have like a stone skin and an adlo for every single pull. Which honestly, as somebody who's about to do floor 181 to 200 with 3 DPS and a healer, I expect to literally have to stone skin, adlo, the bard, every single monster that we fight. Or myself. Like, I'm literally gonna have to stop and cast like 4 spells between every pull. So I'm a little bit concerned about the time that's gonna take to beat those floors. But hopefully we can manage to get through it okay with the 3 DPS, 1 healer setup. What job is best to do it solo? Summoner has got a really good rep. Both Dark Knight, Paladin, Warrior all do fantastic. I'm considering trying to go through as like Paladin to see what it's like versus going through as monk, but I really want to get revenge as my monk sometime in the near future, so we'll see what I end up doing on that front. But Summoner, Scholar, any of the healers do okay, but Scholar clearly does best. Warrior, Paladin, Dark Knight, and then the melee do okay. Like, I soloed to 100 as monk. I could do it as Dragoon. Ninja's a little harder. Machinist is tough. It's been done, but it's tough. Bard is okay as well. I have a friend who's soloed to 100 on Bard. Yeah, I mean, it's really just challenging yourself. What job do you want to play? Do you want to play a super easy job with the pet, or do you want to play a tank, which has all the self-sustain? You want to play a healer, which may not have the DPS, but they also clearly have the sustain? Or do you want to play something tough like Ninja, who has very little self-sustain and defensive cooldowns, or Machinist, who literally has no self-sustain? It's up to you, but my monk was fun, and definitely the tanks and summoner are all really good. Alright, next one. Hey there, Haps. Different name on the forums. Wonder why you did that, but let's see if you can figure out who I am. Oh, well, never mind. That's I figured that one out real quick. Oh, buns. Anyway, 2 questions for you. 1, I know you're certain on there only being 2 jobs being released. I'm not certain. Let me be clear. I'm never certain. I'm saying I feel as if there's a high probability. Never certain. Certain is definitely not the right word. And no healer, I believe that. That I definitely believe. However, in the future, which healing class would you like to see them announce? So I think there's actually a lot of untapped potential in healing. that they've come into. They've kind of convinced themselves they need a shield tank. I mean, a shield healer and a direct healer, and that Astro kind of fills something between both. I think that they need to explore the idea more of a damage-centric healer, one that is able to create its opportunities through more damaging abilities. So they're kind of a job that's built into the role of dealing DPS, just that their DPS isn't necessarily high because their healing output is directly tied to their DPS. A good example of that would be like a Geomancer. You know, a Geomancer is known for using the terrain to create different effects, and with that you could do a lot of buffing and debuffing of allies and enemies. You could also make it so that damage done to the enemy counts as healing in certain scenarios. Maybe you have a certain spell that charges up like 10% of all the damage you deal, charges the skill up, caps at you know, I don't know, a certain amount of damage dealt. When enough damage has been dealt, this ability activates and you can cast it as a big heal on a target. Things like that, you know. And then you have heals that add, you know, abilities that, like for example, your heal could place like a 10 potency counterattack thing, almost like Vengeance, but for like just like 5 to 10 potency, and that way you're constantly feeding damage into that ability. If you were to only use that ability, maybe it takes about 90 seconds on average for that ability to recharge or something like that, or maybe it passively recharges, and on top of that it also does the 90 seconds. Like there's avenues they haven't explored where healing and damage can be more integrated. So I feel like Geomancer might be a very interesting place to take that. Geomancer is one of the jobs I feel has the most versatility, other than maybe Red Mage and Scholar, to really do whatever they want with it. You know what I mean? So I think there's potential there. And 2, if you had to bring one primal on a date, which one would it be? I wouldn't take any because they're all gonna try to kill me. So I'm gonna pass on that idea. Have a good Sunday, Haps. Buns. I guessed it correctly after all. All right, next question. Bolded Haps. First time asker here, so enjoy to play the Stormblood add-on 1 month earlier. Do you know how lonely that would be? Like, hey, I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna do the first dungeon. I can't because there's nobody fucking here. I need 3 other people with the same benefit as me, or it's not really worth a whole lot. Never mind. I've got a question or request. I don't know. Could you explain to me every job characteristics in short? I've just started 14 for a month and I want to learn more about the game. So I have a lot of videos for this, but I can try to give you something pretty short. The quick description of every job. Scholar, healer, has a pet, shields people from taking damage. White mage, direct healer, heal over time. Very easy to learn. Astrologian has the option between playing like both of the both of the healers mentioned before. Also has card system that allows buffing other allies. Warrior, best job in the game. Paladin, very defensive, still okay offense, but mostly about protecting party members. Dark Knight, very offensive, a lot of button suppress, great against magical damage. Monk, lots of moving around the enemy, very fast play. Dragoon, lots of buttons to press, slower abilities, and buff management of Blood of the Dragon. Ninja, all about using ninjutsu, and also fast-paced like the Monk. Very few positionals. Bard, long-ranged, has cast times at higher levels, great burst damage, good damage over time. Machinist, very complicated job, also range damage, also has cast times, a lot of instant cast abilities, very simple rotation, but hard to remember when to press all the buttons. What am I missing? Summoner, crazy amount of buttons, but great sustained damage over time. Burst damage when needed. Black Mage, big numbers, big casts, lots of fire, lots of damage. What am I missing? Let's see. Black Mage, did I mention Machinist, Dark Knight, Astra? Was that all of them? Did I really just mention all the jobs? Why do I feel like I missed some? I guess when you have basic explanations like that, it's really easy to feel like you missed something. I did all 3 healers and all 3 tanks, then I did all 3 melee DPS, then I did both of the range DPS, and I did both the magic DPS. Yeah, I did all of them. I think that's okay. Alright, next question. Hey Haps, first time asker, but recently I've been a big fan through YouTube. Sorry, hard to catch streams between work and family. Listen, I understand. Don't worry, man. I have 1.5 questions. Interesting. It's like you got the Kingdom Hearts syndrome here. 1, last week you mentioned that it may be worth moving from a low pop server to a higher pop if someone wants to try their hand at raiding. I'm interested in raiding, but mainly casually or sticking to extreme primals. I don't really want to move servers because I have a house and a history, but my free company is dying and Party Finder just isn't that busy. Is there some resources to possibly find a more engaging free company, or if maybe find a link shell? That's all on you, man. You either got to go to the forums, or you got to shout around, or you got to go into the Party Finder and look for a new free company or link shell on your server. That's really the best bet you're going to get. Without knowing what server you're on, I can't really make many recommendations. Half a question: is the lore book worth it? This thing is worth everything. It's so worth it so much I keep it right next to my desk. Yes, get it. All right, looking at the next one, it's a pretty dense paragraph. Let's see what it says. Hey, Haps, real post this time. Accidentally hit enter on my first one. Oh, okay, so yeah, because there was a post before this that says that they messed it up, and I think you can edit it. Yeah, you can modify it. I'm surprised you didn't just... There's a modify button, like, just so you know. If you scroll up, this button right here, right here, the modify button. That's basically like editing. I don't know if actually users can do that. I'm pretty sure you can though, because I've seen people with the edit thing. I have a frustrating dilemma with your group. I joined my group as a range DPS near the beginning of 3.3. My previous enjoyment for machines has since dwindled, and I no longer enjoy playing the job. This made me go from being top or second DPS to being lowest by almost 100. We're currently stuck in A11 Savage, and my raid leader is trying to get me to change to Bard, even though I would be a large DPS loss for your group because I would just be happier, and my Bard might match my Machinist since I still hold some passion to play Bard. Another group that I know for a while is looking for one of my favorite jobs, and I wanted your opinion if I should stay in my current group for A11 Savage, that I love the people, or if I should join the new group as summoner and play a more enjoyable job. I don't know. I mean, it's really easy to get tired of a job. But the bouncing between raid groups, the other people are just starting on A10 Savage, and your current group comp is Paladin, Warrior, Astro, Scholar, which, okay, yeah. For some reason, I read that really weird. Machinist, Black Mage, Monk, Dragoon. I don't know, your current raid comp is pretty easy. Bard fits really well into placing, in terms of taking Machinist's place in this case. I mean, Bard takes Machinist's place. They're interchangeable. They're super interchangeable. I guess it doesn't really matter that much. I don't know. What makes you confident that you're going to be playing Summoner in the other group and that you'll perform adequately? That's a big question. And how long has the other group been raiding that they're looking for a new person that's just starting A10 Savage? There's a lot of unanswered questions here that you probably won't be able to get back to next week, because odds are you'll probably have made a choice by then. But stuck on A11 Savage, stuck or progressing? I guess that's the real question, because stuck means that literally you see the whole fight, but nobody clears it. Someone screws up every single attempt. That's stuck. Progression is when you're on it, but you're getting further and further each time that you go in. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Bard, but I don't know jack about Summoner. So, and I actually really like Machinist. I don't know, you're in a pretty tight spot. I'd probably just stick with the current group and try Bard. I think that eventually what's going to happen with this other group if you leave is there's a chance that they don't make it as far as the group you're in now. There's a chance that you may not like Summoner and you may regret the decision. I don't know, there's just so much missing information. I'd rather just stay with the current group, the current consistent group that's progressing on A11 Savage, and just try the other range DPS and see how it goes. Alright, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. Congrats on getting the Pegasus, dude. I was so happy that I scared the hell out of Aloha, who's sleeping in the corner right now, by the way. These are my questions for this week. I'm still planning on moving to another server. After reading your comments on Behemoth and Gilgamesh, I'm leaning on going to Hyperion, since it seems to be the server where most players from Latin countries play. That's a good choice then. So I might have a better chance to get a static, or if it's an issue, I might go as far as to organize. Any pointers for starting a static? I've never started my own static before. I'm not somebody I would take advice from on this. The only thing I would say is just be prepared for the other 7 people to be a headache, because I'm kind of the person who just lets the group kind of do whatever it wants, and I occasionally throw my 2 cents and I go, yeah, sure, or that's dumb. Like, that's it. I don't try to organize anything. I just exist. That's all I do. So I'm not a great person to do that. Just make sure you're ready to deal with 7 other people's scheduling and somebody fucking up mechanics a lot and being able to keep a cool head, because you got to be the coolest head there if you're the leader. 2, I have a small house in my current server. Is it against the rule to sell houses? Yeah. They've been pretty ambiguous about whether or not it's against the rules, but there have been bannings, and Square Enix has pretty much outright said, yeah, don't do that, because if somebody reports you, you're going to get in trouble. You're pretty much just going to have to take the hit on the houses if you're going to leave the server and you want to get rid of the house. 3, in A9 Savage, I'm main tanking. How should I manage my defensive cooldowns as a paladin? Is there any specific tank busters? Every approximately 10 seconds, he does a tank buster. The big thing, though, for A9 Savage as a paladin is, what's the name of the attack? Scrap line. There's single scrap lines and there's double scrap lines, and they're both just hard-hitting tank busters, but he'll do this pretty much. He has certain. I don't want to say there's a consistent pattern, but whenever you see the scrapline attack, you usually want a Sheltron for that, plus some sort of other defensive cooldown. As for the rest of the cooldowns, maybe I'm not a paladin, so I couldn't really tell you. But the only thing I really know is whoever's tanking Faust Z usually rotates a few cooldowns, and then whoever's tanking the boss, whenever he does scrapline or double scrapline, normally you pop a Sheltron plus some other cooldown in combination with that for those parts. For the double scrap line, for the first one, we usually just would hollowed ground it. And then for any other scrap line after that, you usually, again, have a Sheltron plus either a Rampart or a Sentinel You could also stone skin yourself. You could have a healer give you an Eloquium or a Nocturnal Shield or a stone skin, but you really shouldn't need all of that. You should be fine with just those few things. And 4, I know you've soloed Palace of the Dead as Monk. How do you think? Oh, Paladin is fantastic. I think a Paladin soloed up to floor 150 or something already. In fact, I could check that right now. There's leaderboards, so you can check how people are doing. Paladin does really good, though. I've actually, like I mentioned earlier, I'm considering doing a Paladin solo just to see what it's like. I'm not an expert Paladin or anything. I'm just intrigued by the job. Let's see. Paladin, there's a floor 140 solo by Kite Knights. Or he made it to 140 and then died. He could have definitely beat it, though. There's some other ones here. There's a 140, 132, 138. Yeah, there's quite a few floor 100 kills. So I think that there's definitely some good options for you there. I really gotta go from floor 1 all the way back up to 111. I gotta do that again, man. I'm so pissed I died on floor 111. I'm in the 2nd place in the solo rankings, but ugh. Yeah, Paladin does really good in there, so I'd give it a shot. All right, next question. Hey, Haps, Reaper here. Today, no bonus. Well, it's not, again, not a first. Why do people think you need to give me a bonus every time? It's only first-time posters that offer up a bonus. And unfortunately, no new idea. So you got a few questions here. 1, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I don't know. I have no idea. I was on the Twitch front page for the first time, I guess, not too long ago. That's like October 17th or 18th. That was the 18th. Yeah, October 18th was the first time. 18th? Yeah, 18th. 2, if blue bugs bleed blue blood and black bugs bleed black blood, do blue black bugs bleed blue black blood? I'm actually friggin' amazed that I said that without messing that up. So, yes. If 3, if 14 didn't exist, what would you be streaming? I have no idea. I'd probably still be playing 11, to be honest. Or I'd be playing World of Warcraft a lot. So, honestly, if I didn't play Final Fantasy 14, I probably wouldn't have ever been successful on YouTube or Twitch, because it was like the first game that I really felt confident about, like posting videos and streaming a lot. So, I don't know. I don't know if I might have a completely different career, in all honesty. 4, pick 2, Morpher, Sage, Geomancer, Puppet Master, Illusionist, Beastmaster. Puppet Master and Puppet Master. After what I said earlier, though, Puppet Master, Geomancer. Easy answer. Bonus, if you win the lottery, what would it change? Dude, I would, first of all, get her, like, a huge house, get her everything she needs, get us, like, a butler or some crap like that, and then I'm streaming every day still. That's not changing. Like, I'm still streaming every day. It's just everything's going to be, like, way higher quality and way better, because streaming is such a passion that even if I had $50 million, I wouldn't give that up for anything. All right, next question. Dear Mr. Happy 1227, so formal. I have a friend on another server who's struggling with A10 Savage at Enrage with 3% using potions with 0 party deaths. He mains monk and a static gave him an ultimatum, switch to ninja, or be kicked from the static. That's dumb. I'm just going to say that's dumb. I'm just going to outright say, as soon as a group who, by the way, who is working on A10 Savage, which is not a very difficult fight, gives a player an ultimatum to change jobs, clearly that static has issues that are not your friend. That's it. Wait, let's see. What raises eyebrows is his DPS, according to ACT, is between 300 or 400 more DPS than the second highest DPS, and they are. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. I've had this discussion a lot. If your raid group wants you to leave a job that you're very proficient at, you're more proficient than the rest of the raid group, and they're like, you know what? It must be because we don't have a ninja, because you're playing monk that we're getting this. It's like 300 or 400 DPS is a lot. For ninja doesn't make up for 400 DPS. That's just not a job that makes up 400 DPS by allowing everybody else to hit a little bit harder. Let's just say that you had that 10% buff all the time, and you have a paladin doing 900. Okay, that's an extra 90 DPS right there. Well, I guess actually it adds up pretty good. But you would need that, okay, let me rephrase. You would need that 10% all the time, not for short bursts of time, in order to make up for the other 400 DPS. And as a monk, there's no excuse for you to be 400 DPS higher than a black mage and a bard and etc, etc. Let's see. The statics that the Black Mage had to do the prey mechanics with the Bard, and the Bard had to LB3 the adds where he as the monk could stay on the boss almost 99. They argued that Ninja's trick attack, the static increased DPS combined would be more than the monk's. No. So it sounds like this raid leader has no idea what they're talking about. As soon as a raid leader starts looking at your progress and going, it's clearly the jobs that we're bringing to the fight and not the actual quality of our play, that's a problem. That's a sign of a raid leader who doesn't know what he's talking about and is looking for any excuse to improve results without improving performance. So this is just silly. I would honestly leave as soon as somebody does that, as soon as you can't clear a fight because the leader thinks the jobs you are playing are inadequate. That is a sign of a weak raid leader. That's a sign of a raid leader who doesn't understand or is afraid to. Well, it's not even like he's afraid to ask people to play better. He's asking people to play entirely different jobs, which usually means a reduced performance. It's silly. This is just a sign of somebody who, yeah, you should probably leave this. Your friend should probably leave this group. He wanted a second opinion, and how you happen to main ninja in the past. Would him switching over to an undergeared ninja really? No, it wouldn't. Here's the thing. Like I said, you would need that 10% DPS all the time, not for 10 seconds out of a minute to make up for 400 DPS. Like, I don't know. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to be what causes. By the way, even if they switch to ninja and the other guy switched to machinist, if you're getting the 3% wipes on A10 Savage, and this is the reason why you're changing jobs, A11 Savage is not happening. You're not beating A11 Savage because the number of problems you're going to have as a raid group that aren't related to the DPS, especially if you're trying to do it by the second GA 100, this group would never be able to pull that off. It's just a fact. They need to, this raid leader either needs to understand that people need to focus on their performance on the jobs they're on and not what jobs they're playing more than switching jobs, because that's not going to solve anything, and then the raid group's just going to be pissed and break up anyway. So yeah, the problem is that the other DPS in this group are clearly not pulling their weight, and on top of that, it's Enrage too. Hitting Enrage on A10 Savage means your DPS is beyond low. The Enrage is like 11 minutes. The entire rotation of that fight from like 100% to 60% is usually just like 3 minutes, and then you have like a minute, maybe a minute and 10 seconds for that intermediary phase, and then you have 7 minutes to do the other 60% of his health. Like, you're really far behind the DPS curve if you're only doing, if you're hitting Enrage at 3%. Yeah, this group has other problems. So either the raid leader needs to understand, he needs to tell people to play better, not play different jobs, or I would just tell your friend to leave that raid group. That raid group sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. All right, on that note, next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, it's my first time posting and joined my second chance points. After graduating college in May, I've been unemployed and started playing 14 shortly after while waiting to hear back on job applications. It's good on you to make sure you're putting in job applications like every day. Your videos have helped me ever since I was a level 1 thaumaturge, and I'm coming to my own as Black Mage. Can't thank you enough for that. Well, I suck at Black Mage, so I don't know how much you learned from me, but thank you. I feel like my Link Shell Free company still look at me as the baby girl Black Mage they need to carry, even though I'm currently on the main story quest, current on my Relic, and have farmed for ponies and birds. The last 3 weeks have been working hard to get my Sophia Extreme clear. I will make it through the encounter with no deaths and minimal vulnerability stacks. Close I've got to a clear is 2% with the friends from my Link Shell Free company. With groups from the party friend and raid friend, I'll get to like 15-20% before Sophia will unrage. That's really slow. I had a friend parse me said that I have 1800 DPS opener, 1700 sustain. First of all, that's really weird, because that doesn't sound like an opener. An opener, you usually burst for like 2.5, 3,000, maybe more. You don't open at 1,800 and sustain 1,700. That's really, I mean, don't get me wrong, that can happen. It's just, that doesn't really sound like an opener. That just sounds like you just started fighting and then kind of maintained performance throughout the entire fight. My current first of all, I cannot give you any advice over Black Mage rotation. I literally know nothing. I've heard about this whole Sharpcast Fire 1, Fire 3, Fire 4, Fire 1, Fire 4 thing, but I literally can give you no advice on Black Mage. I don't know anything about the level 60 rotation. I would just look up some Black Mage guides, some level 60 ones, and go with those. But if you can make it to the end of the fight without dying, I mean, that's more than most people can say. So keep that quality, but then just practice the rotation, like whatever you find in Google, because I can't give you an answer, and you should be fine. All right, and the last question for this week. Hey, Mr. Happy, new to this, so I'll just keep it simple and clean. Sorry. As someone who mains Bard, I recently picked Machinist to give it a go, and I've really started enjoying it, as I feel I have a general interest in the job. My question is this. In the next expansion, where do you see the story? Oh, I literally don't know anything about the Machinist story, dude, so I don't have the slightest clue. There's a lot of questions this week that I really, like, couldn't answer, because I just, like, the things I don't know. Like, I don't know Black Mage, I don't know Summoner, like, I know a few jobs. Like at level 60, I'm not going to pretend like I know all the jobs. At level 50, it was really easy for me to go, oh yeah, this is a really basic way to play this job, and it's this rotation, and this is a beginner's rotation, and then you have like a more advanced rotation that you could do. Like it was easier to do things like that. But when it comes to level 60, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know what I'm talking about or know what I'm doing, unless I actually do, which I don't in this case. So in the case of the Machinist story, I didn't even pay attention to it, dude. When I was asked to start playing Machinist, it was like, dude, go get level 60 machinist ASAP. Like, we need you to go get level 60 machinist ASAP. So I didn't pay attention to any of that. So I've heard it's a good story though. So, but I just have no idea. And that is actually going to be the last question for the week, unless there was a video question. I actually didn't check for video questions before I started recording, and the answer to that is no. There were no new video questions. I did have another written question, and once again, guys, the written questions do not go to the email. The written questions go on the forums here, or you can do them in the Twitch chat live when I'm actually live streaming Mondays with Mr. Happy. So that's going to be the last question for the week. One last time, videos under the stream. I'm going to try to get some more trophy guides out for World of Final Fantasy today as soon as I'm done recording this. So thank you so much for watching this week. Be sure to ask your questions in the forum that I will not forget to include because I'm going to make it as soon as I'm done recording this video. Or if you have a video question, submit it to the email in the description of the video below. Or come by next Sunday and watch as we live record Mondays with Mr. Happy. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all next week. And until then, take care.